Good evening, and it's great to start another week with all of you at home tonight. And we begin this new week with what could be a major breakthrough from Pfizer, reporting its vaccine for coronavirus in human trials appears to be more than 90% effective in preventing the virus. If it's approved by the FDA, how many million doses by the end of the year? When will most of the country have access to this potential vaccine? Tonight, Pfizer is already ramping up production of their vaccine. The head of the company says it was just 24 hours ago that his scientists revealed to him the promising news. And Pfizer did not take federal dollars for its trials to try to keep their vaccine from being politicized. It comes as the nation marks a new and grim milestone, more than 10 million cases now, and now 5 days in a row with more than 100,000 new cases of the virus in a single day. And more than 1,000 deaths now for 5 days straight, more than 237,000 lives lost. A state of emergency tonight in Utah. Hospitals pushed to capacity there. The governor imposing a statewide mask mandate. New restrictions in Nebraska beginning at midnight tonight. And cases linked to the White House growing again this evening. Housing and Urban Development Secretary Ben Carson, a doctor himself, testing positive. And a key advisor leading the president's legal challenges following this election, now testing positive too. The president-elect Joe Biden and what he said today, we as Americans can do right now to fight this. We will carefully get to it all for you tonight, but we're going to begin with new reporting at this hour on this Pfizer vaccine and its potential and when we could see it. ABC's Steve Osunsami leading us off from the CDC in Atlanta.
It's what the world has been waiting for. American drug maker Pfizer and a German partner say they could be the first to produce a safe and effective vaccine for the coronavirus. And when they look at patients who they've tested so far, they say the drug already appears to be about 90% effective.
Indeed, the vaccine was proven to be very efficacious, overwhelmingly, and that was big news for me as well.
Not very many people expected it would be as high as that. A 90% efficacy just is extraordinary.
Patients need 2 doses, and if the vaccine is approved by the end of the year, Pfizer expects to produce enough vaccine to cover about 25 million people. But that appears to be for people around the world and not just the U.S. And once it's shown to be safe and effective, the first people who will likely get the vaccine here are healthcare providers and groups like seniors who are most at risk.
Look that way for me.
Dr. Victoria Smith is one of the heroes who agreed to join the human trials and says she is happy to help bring an end to the pandemic.
Was an African-American female, knowing that this disease was affecting African Americans and people of color disproportionately, I also wanted to be part of the race to a cure, or not so much a cure, but something that could help prevent COVID-19.
Getting the vaccine to Americans won't be easy. It has to be stored and shipped in freezers that can keep the medicine unbelievably cold, around 94 degrees below zero. These are Pfizer's freezers in Kalamazoo, Michigan. UPS says it's building freezer farms, and FedEx is adding freezers and refrigerated trucks. The president and his supporters are questioning the timing of the news here, which they believe is no accident that it's after the election. But Pfizer's CEO says they weren't holding out, and he only learned of this on Sunday, and says, in fact, his company did not take public dollars for their research so they wouldn't have to worry about government interference.
I wanted to liberate our scientists from any bureaucracy that could come by accepting money.
Pfizer is now planning to ask the FDA for emergency use authorization of the drug as soon as next week, when they expect safety data to be ready. Other drug makers are not far behind. Moderna is producing a similar vaccine. Both use genetic instructions that tell the body to produce a protein that triggers you into fighting the virus.
All right, let's get right to Steve Osunsami tonight. And Steve, Pfizer could ask for that emergency use authorization from the FDA as early as next week. So walk us through these next steps here.
Well, David, Pfizer could get an answer back from the government as early as the end of December. And Pfizer says it already has a stockpile of this medicine ready to go. David.
All right, Steve Osunsami leading off the broadcast tonight. Steve, thank you. Again, the bottom line tonight, Americans will want to know how soon could we see millions of doses? Who gets them first? So let's bring in Dr. Ashish Shah, the Dean of the Brown University School of Public Health. Dr. Shah, as always, thanks for being here. And obviously encouraging news tonight. Given what you've heard so far, when would you expect Americans to have access to this potential vaccine?
Yeah, so David, thank you for having me on. This is really good news. This is encouraging. 90% effectiveness, better than I was expecting. I expect that healthcare workers and first responders, maybe by December or January, high-risk people, February, March, most Americans probably April through June. There are a lot of Americans that we need to get vaccinated with this vaccine, and we're ramping up production, but it's going to take a little bit of while.
You know, it's interesting you noted it there, too. I remember Dr. Anthony Fauci on this broadcast telling me that some vaccines are 50, 60% effective, that he was hoping for 70 to 75%, but we heard that news from Pfizer, 90% effective. What do you make of that number?
Yeah, I have to tell you, I'm surprised, pleasantly so, but I've been going around saying 60, 70%, and if we're lucky, 75 or 80. Let's hope it holds up, but we've just seen the press release. We're going to look at the data, but if it holds up, this is really good news.
And with just a few moments left, lastly, I wanted to ask you, because we know the vaccine news is encouraging, but I gather you're still very concerned about the interim and these new numbers we're seeing right now across the country. So many people watching with their families tonight. What would you tell them at home?
Yeah, it's a very tough moment. 100,000 Americans are going to die between now and Inauguration Day if we don't get our act together. People need to wear masks every time they leave their home, avoid the large indoor gatherings, keep it pretty small, wash your hands, wear the mask. Those are the things that are going to get us through the next couple of months.
All right, Dr. Rajesh Shah with us every step of the way on this. Dr. Shah, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.